Bobby, while we get together, why don't you talk to us about, I know you probably said this a few times, but what does it feel like being a Grammy winner, man?
It feels real good. I plan to call my friend like you and Robert and tell you don't call me no more. No. Now, I said that to laugh and joke because you are my friend. It makes me feel so good, and I'm so blessed to do what I do and now make a little living out of what I like to do so well. So I thank all the one who voted and who thought I should have this. And I also accept this because there are many guys came along when I did and before I did, never got a chance to win anything in this magnitude. So I accept this award on behalf of the gentlemen, ladies, and men who never gotten it. So this to them.
Hello, check, test, 1, 2, check. Yeah, this particular session that we're about to have is going to have, I say, special implications for the program because we really do want to talk about the life of these individuals as they have lived on the chittlin circuit. The chittlin circuit, of course, stretched a long span of time in terms of a physical development, and you've heard much information about it in terms of its historical purpose and what has gone on. But there's a certain brand that has developed over time where the chittlin circuit name stuck to it, and it kind of created its own thing. And from that point on, every time you went and played those circuits, they still kind of remain to be called the chittlin circuit. Even today, people still feel like they're playing on the chittlin circuit. And we know it doesn't exist in that fashion anymore. But these gentlemen, in their own right, has been dealing with a lifestyle of being musicians, and they've never stopped. Some of them, like Bobby Rush, has millions of dollars, and the others, like me, we still trying to make a penny, you know.
That's good. Oh, man.
So that's just the way it is, y'all. He got 10 houses on one block. Because he got one block on 10 houses.
That's it.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I still think I would be remiss. I've got a gentleman in here that I want to bring back to the platform, and we're going to have, and I like the way he's put things, you know, he's tried to make us understand that it's a certain culture. Am I still on? Yeah. So everybody can hear me?
No.
I don't know what happened, but it sounds, oh, that's what's happening, okay. So anyway, if you can hear me, what I'm getting at is there's been a definite description of how the business of black music changed the way we see the music industry today. And because there was a segregation involved, those things were developed, and that culture was developed based on the fact that black people were dealing with black people. And if you know anything about black people dealing with black people today, it's still a headache. But we find ourselves still making strides, still trying to understand the business ethics that we have to deal with, you know. and branding, and rebranding, rebranding, and trying to make ourselves who we are. There's a statement that was made by Rufus Thomas. If you go over to the B.B. King Museum, he said that I didn't have to try to be black. And he was talking about, he says, whites had to try to understand what we were doing. He said, but I was already the thing, right? Now, whatever that meant to Rufus Thomas, we still know that there's a certain kind of progression that's going on in this music. You can never, it's a genetic code, and I always tell people, it has nothing to do with race. If you really break it down to its common denominator, it still has nothing to do with race. The reason race was such a factor is because in America, segregation was a factor. But if you're born in France, you're going to speak French. That's just a fact. If you're born into a blues society culture, don't you know white guys that play blues? I mean, we can go down from Johnny Winters down, if we want to call it that. But there are some guys. I remember stories about Charlie Parker and Red Rodney. Red Rodney was a white guy. Charlie Parker and them had to tell everybody he was an albino in order for him to be in the band to come south to play, because there was no such thing as integrated bands, right? And so Red Rodney would play along the game. He said, I guess I'm going south, so let me put my albino thing on together again, right? So those things existed. We heard stories about, having to have a show where men had to dress like women. Sometimes it was necessary in many other fashions, the reason that was going on. Sometimes it was an acceptance factor, that you had to be a clown and play it off to make it happen for yourself. So those things are still a part of it, but these gentlemen have lived this history, and I want to bring Preston back up. Yeah, I want you to, he didn't even know I was going to do this. I'm going to throw you into the lines there. I'm going to bring my white brother up, and he's going to deal with all these voices again. Bobby Rush already told you how he feels. It's good, though. But this history is important, and it's necessary. So here we are. Do you want to, is it a part of me moving it over? Check, testing, 1, 2. Check, testing, 1, 2. Is that better?
That's good.
So what I'll do is this. Move this over.
I'll start with him. So, I tell you what, everybody hear this okay? Yeah. There we go. Let me see if I can adjust that for height. How about that? Okay. I'm going to tell you what is so important about this group of gentlemen that we have gathered before us here. They represent so many different facets of the culture and the music and the life that we're here celebrating. So the circuit was not just about entertainers, it was about venues. So this gentleman dressed so moderately here is Mr. Teddy Johnson, the proprietor of Teddy's Blues Club located in Louisiana. To his left, with some spiders all over him, don't tell him you know, is a gentleman by the name of Scrap Iron. And he spent the bulk of his career as a road manager for Little Milton. To his left, needs no introduction, but we'll do it anyway, Grammy Award-winning Bobby Rush. To his left, we've got Ray Neal, a sideman and lead man as well, extraordinary, beautiful guitarist who treated us to some tasty licks before lunch. Over next to him is Bill Howland Mad Perry, recording artist, also with Little Milton for a time, is that right, on the road? So Milton is one of the real unifying factors here. We got Mr. Jesse Robinson down beside him, representing a number of facets of the business, club owner, musician, and then, excuse me?
In Milton. Yeah, he was with Milton.
Also with Milton for a while, right. So Milton, yes, we remember you. And down there at the end we have Big George Brock, who has run clubs in St. Louis and was the star of the film We Juke Up in Here, and is a terrific recording artist in his own right. So we've got so many different perspectives, and I'm going to get mine out of the way. I have one question, and we'll start with Mr. Johnson and work our way down. So how did you survive?
Well, you know, the way I survived, I come from a family of preachers and tavern owners. And I just wasn't going to give up. And survival is as of today. Yesterday morning, I got called up. I was turned down for a loan because they're paying out my business wasn't the name that it is. But there is nothing that's going to stop Teddy from surviving, because I am the belly rubbing, titty sucking, nipple squeezing, painter man.
That was heavy. Quick to the point and heavy. That's all I can say.
Follow that, Scrap Iron.
Follow the survival.
Yes, sir.
You ain't gonna worry me. First of all, I'd like to say good evening, and I would like to thank the staff and the doctor and everybody who invited me to be a part of this.
There you go.
All them big words, I ain't with that. I brought some pictures, ladies and gentlemen, that I want you to see. I'm gonna get back to what you asked me. But I brought some pictures I wanted everybody to see of people I've had the opportunity to be on the chittlin circuit with. And the first one, I'm so proud of him, I don't know what to do. And we were on show behind shows behind shows. It's my good friend, Mr. Bobby Rush. Or should I say Grammy winner, Mr. Bobby Rush. From me to you, dog. Next one is my good friend, the late Mr. Bobby Blue Bland. The young man I served over 31 years, the one and only, late and great, Mr. Campbell. Now you talking about chittlin circuit. Mr. Oddie Blues Boy White, Mr. Tyrone Davis, Chicago's own Mr. Jesse Tolliver, and of course yours truly. This picture was taken in the Checkerboard Lounge in 1973. I like to share this with you. It was my birthday. You know how your brother was. He wouldn't give me no present, but he wrote on a napkin. You want to read it? We're gonna leave that alone. But in order to survive the chittlin circuit, you had to have it in here and in here. What I mean by that is, everywhere you went, it was always I'm not going to use the word obstacle, I'm going to say a blockage. I can go for tell you about the traveling and how it was at the Union 76. When we used to pull up in there for fuel, you had to go around to the back and give your order to the black cook. We couldn't go up in there like they do now and have T-bone steaks and baked potatoes and all that. It wasn't that kind of party. Wherever we went, we were always recognized. And it was survival behind survival behind. Once upon a time, we didn't even have places to stay. We stayed at people's house, or the club owner made preparation for us to stay somewhere. With what's going on now, though, it's just like this gentleman said earlier. We need to go back to the basics of our music. We done lost it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's your fault. Because you always want to down this music called blues. Young folks say it depresses them. If you're black, you were born in the world, you already depressed. because you go through changes every day. This music is a part of you. And when you hear these guys up here singing this music and playing this music, basically they're playing it from their heart. They're talking about lyrics that mean something in your life. It doesn't mean that it happened, but it could happen. So we need to go back to our basics. We need to go back to our dressing. We need to go. One thing about a blues musician, you see the way these guys dress? That's the way we dress. When we hit the stage, we didn't look like we came from Walmart. There you go. We were dressed to impress. And saying that, church.
Let me speak a little about Survivor. Survivor to me means everything. You have to know how to survive. What I have strived all of my life is the thing that I could not do, because the things I could do would take care of itself. I know where the places I wouldn't want it, I wouldn't welcome. I realized that before I walk in. It was like going in the woods. If you know a snake in the wood, certainly you wear boots, because you know the snakes in the wood. What I want to tell you at the chittlin circuit is today, it looks different, but really haven't changed. It remains the same. It's almost like when I came up as a country boy with an outside toilet, and my daddy made a toilet with 3 seats in it, like somebody gonna come in there with you. But now we have the houses built with many toilets, many bathrooms in your house. Smells good and everything. But what you do in them haven't changed. So I'm saying to you, everything have changed, remained the same. We still have the chittlin circuit, whether you're working in Conoco Hall or working in a juke joint or what have you. I have a friend of mine, I got to stand up and say this, Clearwater's, where is it? It is here. He's in the back, behind me in the back. Where? Behind the curtain. I want to say this, but when he come out, early in the 50s, I guess myself and Eddie Clearwater was one of the first black men who was hired on Rush Street. They had a club that it called Bourbon Street, said no color allowed. They hired me, because I thought I wasn't colored, because they hired me. But I went in to get a job, chittlin circuit I'm talking about now, to get a job with 4 white guys. But when I went, after the audition, I went with the 4 black guys. So Kunch said, where's the band? I said, right here. He said, oh, God, you're going to get me killed, because we can't integrate this place. Well, I was too embarrassed to tell the people I didn't know what integrate was. I went to find, what's integrate? I went in the door and walked. He said, well, Bobby Rush, we integrated this place tonight. Well, I thought integrate was something that, into slavery, because I thought I was a pretty good young 20-year-old, 22-year-old guy. I thought it was use me for the mate and make good slaves. I said, well, maybe I can make a good integrator, you know? But I'm saying that to let you know that we walked out of, we called the chittlin circuit into a situation, treated us just like the chittlin circuit. So it haven't changed, it remains the same. It's alive and it's a well. We have to face the fact. But music is a link to our soul and a link to us as a people getting together. But we should never forget where we come from, out of the bridge that brought us across. I'm here, I won a Grammy at 83 years old. I'm so proud I won, so happy that I won. And I want another one, I want all of you to win. But I want to win better than you. So don't be ashamed of the chittlin circuit. It's music, it's black music, and I'm proud of me and the music that I do.
Yeah, survivor. Well, when we came up, we was blessed because we come up under my dad, Ray Fania. And you talking about somebody could survive.
Yes, yes.
Because he had 10 kids and was a musician. He didn't have a day job till we got up in age. Then he decided he'd go to work. But we come up under him, and he taught us everything it was to know about survivor. Because we used to get to the club, the drummer done left a drumstick or a cymbal. He go out there and get a stick out the tree. You gonna make this gig. But that's how you came up surviving. And when we got old enough to move on, he had set us up to play with anybody. Didn't care who it was. I mean, you wanted to play blues, you wanted to play little funk, whatever you wanted to play. When you left my daddy band, and I'm not talking about just his kids, other musicians, they could go on and play with everybody. Because I remember when I first met Bobby Rush, I asked him, did he need a guitar player? After I told him who my daddy was, he said, yeah. I had that job. Lil Milton, Mr. Bland. It wasn't no hesitation because I guess they knew what kind of family I come from and my dad. But right today, my grandkids be telling me, Papa, man, you'll make anything work. That's survivor. All right.
Well, I can relate to that surviving situation. And because the first thing with myself is, the question asks, for all of this fame or whatever it is that you want, what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? And, there's been a lot of things that I sacrificed. And, and I have to say, there's an old saying that if you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life. And I've never worked a day in my life. And thank you. Yes. And was talking about Little Milton a few minutes ago. Well, he's the one that actually gave me my first chance to get in front of a microphone when I was playing with him years ago. And so really, he gave me the courage to get out, to do it for myself. And I also have to say that we used to rehearsal in Bobby's basement years ago. But see, there's nothing that I look at that was standing in the way of me doing what I want to do. I love this. Talking about being from the country. I mean, my daddy was a sharecropper. He made moonshine. He did whatever he could to make a dollar. And he was also a drunk, so I've never really had anything to do with alcohol. But I tell you, to this day, I must say I've had my feet on the ground in 13 different countries. In fact, I've taken the blues somewhere that to this day, I don't know of any other blues person that ever took blues to a Muslim country. Yes, we did that. And they loved every second of it. But I just made up my mind that I would do it my way. And my first CD, I think it was called, it was Reason I Sang the Blues. It was the most played record on XM satellite radio, thanks to Bill Wax and a few other people. So that gave me a little bit more courage. But I don't regurgitate what other people have done. I like writing my own songs, and basically everything I do, every now and then I may put in a cover song or something like that. But I like doing my own songs and stuff like that, my own arrangements. And also, I played with the late Johnny Taylor. I've had the opportunity to back up Freddie King, the late T-Bone Walker, and Clarence Carter, just to name a few along the way. And so as far as the chittlin circuit is concerned, well, it's in my blood. And I have to also say that if I had a $100 bill for every time I've ate chitlins, well, because see, we also raised our own animals, for slaughter, hogs, cows, chickens, you name it. And so, the hand-slung chitlins, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Bob? Yes, indeed. So, that's the world that I came from, and I never, really thought that I would do the things that I've been involved with over the years. I did a movie some years back with Cuba Gooding Jr. I appeared on the Gene Simmons Family Jewel show. In fact, I just, within the last couple of weeks, was involved with a documentary about Robert Johnson. It's going to come out on Netflix. I don't know when, but I got a feeling a lot of people is going to get pissed off at me for the way I tell my version of Robert Johnson's story. I don't think that, talk about selling his soul at the crossroads and stuff like that, that's just a myth. Just like any of us, Jesse, you name it, Mickey, all of us that can play, we all had to do one thing. We had to practice to do it. And that's what Robert did. And that's the way I like telling the story. But, I want to thank everybody, for letting me be here today. I get to running off at the mouth. I am howling mad. And by the way, I was just told last night the Mothers Against Drunk Driving is urging me to stop using my name. So, so I'm looking forward to meeting them in court. That should be a very interesting situation. I've been howling mad for over 40 years and have no plans for nobody to stop. But, as far as BB is concerned, well, we opened the show for him. It was some years back. I think it was the mid-'90s over at Club Ebony. But I also had the pleasure of working with the same record label that he was on, but I was in the gospel department, contemporary gospel, ABC Dunhill. And I had some pretty interesting conversation with B a few times, out there. This was in California is where the label was at. But great person, easy to listen to, and the information that he passed on and stuff like that has just been been very valuable. But I got a new song that I wrote that I'm thankful for the blues, and it'll be coming out on my next CD. And I really am thankful for the blues because I'm living my dream. And like Bobby here, I've been after that Grammy myself, but it's been eluding me.
Maybe this is the opportunity right here.
Maybe this is the opportunity. But thank you all very much and everything. And let me pass this mic on down.
It's Jesse's turn now to tell us about Survival.
Off.
There you go. You're on.
Well, we're on.
You're on.
How's everybody doing this evening? Is everybody pretty well surviving? We're here. I don't know whether I learned survival very well in my lifetime, but been around for a few minutes, and I came from a family of 14, 7 boys and 7 girls. So evidently, Mom and Daddy knew how to survive. My father was a musician. He was a sanctified preacher. I started playing guitar, I don't know when. Still trying to learn some of the licks that I need to know from Rayford and all, and Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush plays guitar too. We all gonna have a class one day. But anyway, getting to survival, my old man, Dad, and older sisters and brothers, we all was taught to work, learn, be concerned, be smart as you can, and today that pays off. Getting back to the chittlin circle, it's not only meant for musicians. It meant for, if you black, you either eat chitlins or you're not, but you're living in the chittlin world. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a doctor or lawyer if you're on the chittlin circle. The chittlin circle is the one that shuts you off and controls you to a point. So we all is in the chittlin circuit. I think it's the popcorn circuit now because the money that went back down less than what it was in the chittlin circuit, Barbara Rush. You know, it don't mean nothing for you. I'm just going to use your name because you got the millions now. You understand? All right. But anyway, my thing is about survival is learn as much as you possibly can at any given time, in any situation, your surrounding, your cultural. Keep in mind your cultural. Don't give it away. We gave the blues away. We gave it away. You know, we say we didn't like it. Oh, yeah, you like it because you was born in the blues. And I want to tell all the other races other than black race of people or African American, whatever you want. If you're a human being, you got some blues. So we need to take a look at it and figure out how the blues make you feel. Blues will make you feel like you in Houston, Texas, if you know what I mean, if you know what I'm talking about. When things happen that you can't control and it's just happened, there's nothing you can do about it, make you sad, can't pay your bills, even death bring blues to you, the sad part. Now there's a happy blues. You know, once you figure out what the blues is, you can have a happy blues because this is the way it's going to be anyway. You might as well rejoice over it and keep going because the blues is going to come in your life. So surviving, I don't think I ever learned how to finish that. I think it's every day. It's a hustle and a bustle. It's trying to survive. And first, integration and racism is well and alive. Is that we need to talk about it like we're talking about it today. I really enjoyed this panel today. I learned so much. What I learned, that people can openly speak about it with all races. That's what we need to do. And music is one of the things that people listen to behind closed doors, don't want to look at the other one and enjoy the music. But we need to talk about it like we're talking about it today. What is the chittlin circle? The chittlin circle is the black circle. Y'all heard that song? There's a song. I didn't write the song. What was that song, Strap-On? Which one? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Now, I got it now, Strap. Now, don't you pick up the mic. I got it, Strap. It's Strap. That was a song, and it is a song. Look it up online. Pull it up on your computer, your phone. They say, if you're white, you're right. If you're brown, you can stick around. And if you're black, you do what? Get back. It's saying something now. It exists, but you got to survive through that and look further and further. And all people are not the same. Now, you got some people that vote this way, but when they get with you, they all right. You want the all right part. Don't make no difference how you vote. Don't worry about that. Let's keep it straight. So that's the way I survive dealing with people, figuring out how can we do something very positive together. It doesn't make any difference who you are and what you got, what you ain't got. And that's my road to surviving. And learn all the music you can, musicians. Just don't think something coming out of the top of your head talking about I got a hit, this sounds good. There's structure, there's right and wrong. Learn your music before you put it out here and spend somebody money and time with some garbage that you didn't throw it out here because you want a record. Learn the music or get with somebody that knows the music that you can trust on. That's another way to survive in the music business. Stop putting out all this crap. Say, well, you know, because I got $1 million, I can make you a hit. It doesn't work like that. That's my survival.
So I wanted to put a little, if anybody, can Mr. Brock hear me? Mr. Brock, I want to put a little twist on yours. I want to hear what it was like to survive as a club owner in St. Louis back in the time.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It was a struggle when I first made it to St. Louis because it's the way the living was given down to us. Everything was handed down to us was the last thing that other people didn't want, and we had to take it. But let me tell you this. I want to tell you all about the blues. I learned how to play these blues 'Cause I've been with the blues people ever since I was 12 years old. Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Jimmy Reed, B.B. King, Bobby Rush. And I tell you, when Howlin', we used to have to go out in the woods and clean off a place so we could play the blues. And Howlin' Wolf was out there one night. And this very little woman, she weighed about 90 pounds wet. And she kept dancing from one man to the other and one man to the other. So, and the men got jealous of one another. And so they went to the wagon. And, you know, there wasn't no cars back then. It was the wagon and horse riding, mule riding, and walk. And he went to the wagon and got a shotgun and started shooting. And when it was all over, they said, "Where's Howlin' Wolf at?" Couldn't find him. And they said, Howlin' Wolf said, "Up here." You had climbed the tree. He was sitting up in the tree like a big bear, holding that tree. But what the funny thing about it, after everything was over, he was too scared to come down. And they had to help get Howlin' Wolf out of the tree and so he could come back down on the ground. And so the show was over. They didn't play no more than that. But anyway, Bobby Rush knows that I've been with him for a long time. I've had privilege to hire every musician from Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, Howlin' Wolf, Albert King, Little Milton, and Sonny Boy Williams. He was going with my auntie, so I didn't have no trouble getting him. So if he didn't play, I'd tell Ain't on him. And he come on in there and he started playing for me. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I came from a family of 17. 17, and then I'm the only musician out of the whole crowd. But I want you to know, I only got one sister left and myself. I'm 85 years old today. I'm 85 years old today, and I'm the only musician that I know in the world got a championship gold belt. And I got it to prove it, to show it, and I'll put it up against any blues player, because I still play the blues like Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Jimmy Reed, B.B. King. B.B. King called me to his truck and said, "Brock," he said, "I just want to tell you," he said, "take them rings off." He said, "I like the guy key about them rings," said, "and you need to go and take them off." And I told him, I said, "Well, B," I said, "I'll tell you what, I won't wear them no more." I went home, told my wife what he had told me, and I got up the next morning, went to the pawn shop, and I pawned every last one of them. And I ain't been back yet to get them. I ain't going back to get them neither. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I hear the band saying I don't play. I don't joke. I play what you come to hear, and that's strictly the blues. And I do that everywhere I go and when I go. Okay? And I want to thank you for having me on this show tonight. And God bless you. And I hope I'll be out there tonight with having a jam session. They give me a chance to just play one or two songs for you. Okay? All right. And I hope I could get that chance to show you that I'm not lying about the blues. 2 train running. Hoochie coochie man. Yeah, you know, all them kind of things.
There we go. Well,
and I want to thank them for having me on this program this evening. I really, really thank them. So, thank you, and we are.
All right, that's wonderful. Howlin' Wolf is a survivor. That's the way to survive. Climb the tree when they start shooting.
I want to say one more thing.
You know, we have taken up so long just getting to know each other, and I want to make sure that the people who've come out have a chance to talk with you guys a little bit. So let's jump out to the audience and see what the people out there want to know more about. Questions? Sure. Go ahead.
How did Howlin' Wolf get his name?
She said, how did Howlin' Wolf get his name?
So how did Howlin' Wolf get it?
Well, I heard that he was passing the cemetery and a guy came out, from the cemetery. That's what I heard.
Maybe she meant, how did Howlin' Mad get his name, huh?
No, Howlin' Wolf.
Well, Howlin' Mad got his name because I butted heads with a billy goat one time.
Okay. What was your question over there, Robert? Yeah.
Okay, so we talking about survival, and I know a lot of you guys were on the road. I think one of the things that I would always think of is once you got paid, then you had to keep the money. So what methods did you guys use to make sure you protect the money? Because if you went to a show and you were on the chittlin circuit, nobody was protecting you. I mean, you didn't have no police on your side, you didn't have anything. So, you had to keep your money. That's survival.
You had to collect before you could keep it.
You had to collect the
Strap
money.
iron nose.
And then you had to keep the money.
Yeah.
Well, there's always somebody trying to get it from you.
Let me tell you about that. Yes, we had some protection. We had some pistols and some knives and some sticks and everything else. That's how you protect your money any kind of way.
And some AK-47s, believe it or not.
You're going to protect your money.
But laying all jokes aside, the way I developed my thing, man, the road manager had all the money, whether you know it or not. Ain't that right?
Yeah.
The road manager was responsible for having all of the monies. He paid the hotel bill. He paid everything. A road manager, and this is the truth, until Milton passed, and I left Milton 6 months before he died, I had no personal life, ladies and gentlemen. My life surrounded Little Milton. I had developed a thing where I used to take the money to the bus, put it in a secret compartment where I'm not going to tell you. If Milton wanted to party, I gave him an allowance to spend. I used to tell the guys, hey, man, you got to go home. You got bills to pay. This was me now. Let me give you a draw. When we get back to Memphis or Jackson, Mississippi, or Greenville, wherever we're going, then I'll pay you the rest of your money. So that worked for us. I don't know about nobody else's road manager.
So did you ever have any difficulty collecting?
No, because they know they had responsibilities. See, one thing about the blues musicians that came under the Little Milton camp, if you spent it all and you were hungry, he would feed you, but it's going to cost you twice. Ain't that right, Joe Eagle?
So for the gentlemen who own clubs, Mr. Robinson and Mr. Johnson both.
Hold up. Hold up.
Go ahead.
I wasn't going to tell that. Okay. We had certain promoters that didn't want to pay you.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I got mine.
It was hard.
We-
It was hard. Go ahead, Bobby.
But we're talking about as a whole. You may have yours, but 1,000 others didn't have. We're talking about the survivor here now. You're speaking about a personal thing. I'm not jumping on you about that. Because what happened with me, how I survived this, most of the time, just can prove it, when you're the band leader like I am, when you give guys raise, most of the time they spend their money in better hotels and better trains and better planes, and they still don't take their money home. So what you're doing, you're billing money to help someone else. It really don't help the kids or the guys you're working for. Maybe y'all missed me. Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying.
Because all you're going to do in a hotel is sleep and go to the bathroom, and then you go home. Why you want to pay $500 for a room because it looks good?
Right.
Do y'all hear what I'm saying to you?
Absolutely. I hear
Just, see, that ain't surviving. That ain't surviving because that's why everybody know what I'm talking about. That's why most of the black guys now, when they die, you have to go bury them. I'm trying to take care of my business now, so I'm telling you now, may not be here tomorrow, but I don't think you have to bury me. Take care of your business now. I'm not, listen, I drive a regular car, because once I get on the bandstand, you don't know how I got there. While I was in a bicycle or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to wake up. You spend your money, it's foolishness. Because I'm like Job. You come here naked, and the naked you should leave.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, you talk about survival. You know, it took me 2 years before I got my place opened up. I've been in business now 40 years. And it's just as hard to survive today as it was 42 years ago. So what I do every night, every time I go on a trip and I get back home, whatever change I got left in my pocket, whatever amount of money I took with I thought I was going to spend, I got a secret place that I put it. Call it my mad money. When I get back home, I give my wife some money, and I pay my own bills. I don't trust nobody to pay my bills but me. And survivor is that thing that even when you sleep, you're still working, you're still counting, you're still thinking. And remember one thing, God is the man.
And I'd like to add this right here, too. Another way of surviving is education. Make sure you learn and learn. MoreyouKnow.com. The more you know.
The farther you go.
That is the way to real survive. If you want to know anything about Jesse Robinson dealing with it, Google me and look me up before you start dealing with me. Then you know how to deal with me. Education, learning is the next thing. That's right. You know, because, you know, if you've been broke as long as I am, I'm still searching. And, you know, I might luck up and get one of them $1 million like them Bobby's got. You know what I'm saying? but education is the next thing. Surviving. Surviving is a big realm. It's a lot of things you can do to survive. You know, if I got in a fist fight right now, you know what my survival was? Flight, run. There you go.
Well, you know, my daddy used to always say it's always better to say, there you go, than here you lay, you know.
Hey, that's survival.
Yes, that's survival, absolutely. But, you know, I got one more thing I want to say. And as far as survival is concerned, Cash, would you stand up for a minute? Everybody give Cash McCall a hand.
Oh, I didn't know Cash was here.
Yes, this man right here taught me a lot about the business. He taught me how to survive. He was the first one that believed in me enough to turn me loose to work with people like the late Fontella Bass, Little Johnny Taylor, Ted Taylor, just a whole list of people. So thanks, Cash. Yes, sir.
Okay, we got Mr. Payton out there. It's going to be our last question, and then we're going to call it a day.
Oh.
Mr. Payton, what you got?
It's really not a question, but I would ask Bobby, you remember Al Treat?
Yes.
Bass player Al
Yes.
Treat. He called me the other night, and we was talking about this, and when somebody was talking, it reminded me of, is when the club manager gets your rooms. You remember we went all the way to Orange, Texas, and came back to Hollandale, and that fellow, when gig was over, he had them 3 cribs out there. And me and Hal had to stay in them cribs.
That's right.
The corn crib was the motel.
That's what it was.
And another thing I want to share, you know, when you're on the road with a person like Bobby, we went to Georgia and worked down in Georgia, and there was a fella, after the college gig was over, wanted us to play at the club.
Right.
And so that night when the gig was over, the fella come in the room, throw his gun on the bed and put his $300 on the bed and say, there your money is.
That's right.
Bobby pulled out his gun, threw it on the bed and said, man, you going to pay me my damn money.
You sure right. I sure did that, man. I sure did that.
Well, thank you guys so much for these lessons in financial management and survival. Let's give everybody a big thank you all very much.
Rush, I ain't know you had no pistol.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've got a lot to do. I know we're running a tad bit behind based on our little free fall at lunch. Now, all y'all got to talking and put this schedule behind, so now we got to stay here and do what we got to do. So don't leave, because we got other people who are attending, and this is information that we're getting filmed. All of it's important for the documentary, so we're going to make the best of it. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. We got one. I'm getting ready to introduce y'all to one of the legends, among legends. And Bill, you didn't even know he was in there back then. Eddie. Okay.
Where's my guitar? I didn't get my guitar, folks.
Bill, you can't read anyway, so. No, that's my man. Bill and I go way back. If anybody gonna get a guitar, Bill gonna get one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I was about to enter the stage. I need to get Lil Ray. What happened to Ray? Oh, Ray back there. I need you and Mickey Rogers. What happened to Mickey? Yeah, Jimmy play some drums for us, and then we're gonna bring to the stage the legendary. We call him the Chief. Everybody knows the Chief. Normally he's dressed in a headband that make you look younger, but today he just said he want to come out and sing one with us, so I got to get the band together. Tell Eddie to come on out. Hey Eddie, come on this side where the steps are. You got to come on the other side. Tell him to go back to the other side where the steps are. Where's Eric? Come on. Once again, I'd like to take time to say thank you to all of the sponsors, beautiful people. Is Senator Jordan in the house? Come on up just for a quick second. We got a very special event taking place tomorrow right here in this same room. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about it. Yeah, come on, Eddie, you on that. You got to go up those steps right there, baby. Rayful was coming up. He's right here.
Sanders, do you know where the mic stand went that was on this thing? Jimmy, you don't know where the mic stand went?
Oh, hey, come on. Senator Jordan, everybody.
Good evening. I want you to know that in 2005 we had B.B. King in the state Senate for the first time. B.B. said that he had been in the 15 heads of state across the world, but he'd never been invited to the state capitol in Jackson, Mississippi. So he was my guest. If you remember that film by Jet Magazine carried where B.B. King shed tears. So from that point on, after B.B. King passed away 3 years ago, I decided I'd have the highway named after B.B. King since he was born in Leaflore County, a little hamlet called Berkeley. So tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., out on Highway 82 West, right in the front of Valley State University campus, we've unveiled a sign, the Memorial Highway of B.B. King, right in the front of this university.
Yes, sir. That's a good.
And with that point, in conclusion, when life goes tough, then young people can warm their heart about the music that Long Rows of Cotton and Sizzling Heat produced in the Mississippi Delta. We are proud of the blues. As a state senator, son of a sharecropper, retired science teacher, graduated this university and other universities, and a state senator and a city councilman in Mississippi, I'm proud to know the heritage of my people. And I always will love you and respect you, what you were able to do in spite of the difficulties. Thank you. May God bless you. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we've unveiled a sign. We'll have a little ceremony here at 9 o'clock in the morning in this building, according to the president. Then we'll go out there. We'll walk out to the highway and unveil a sign so everybody Ken will be standing around and see the highway named after B.B. King, who was born here in Berkeley.
I got a group of ladies I've had the pleasure to have conversations, very short conversations with, but gotten to know them a little better by being around them here at this symposium. Miss Shirley Neal, yeah, y'all talking about survival. I've got Tina Tucker. We put you in the middle right here because you got to control this group. And ladies and gentlemen, she needs no introduction, but Miss Willie Mae Bland. I don't know, I think it's a cultural thing, but my grandmother had 3 daughters, and every one of them middle name is Mae, M-A-E. I asked my mother about that. She said, well, she never tried to figure all that out. That's the middle name she started with, and that's what she stuck with. We got Sue Evans, y'all, all the way from the West Coast now, but she still got her home right here in the Delta. She can't go nowhere. Miss Sue Evans. I've got a musician that I went to school with. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand to Vicki Baker in her own right. This is a very special group of women, and I always wanted to hear what they had to say. So I said, you know what, this is a good time to do this. And I've got Tina Tucker is set to moderate this thing, and I have no idea what Tina is about to ask them or what direction they're going to go in, but I'm ready to hear.
Okay, I wrote a couple of things down. And you know, behind every successful man is a good woman. So I want to welcome everybody to this panelist, and I'm Tina Tucker, and you may ask, why am I the moderator? Well, for the past 30 years, I have been a true ambassador for the blues. I have a women in workshop that we put together to teach youngsters. We go to the schools, blues in the schools. We are true advocates of the blues. And my father was Tommy Tucker, who wrote the 1964 hit High Heel Sneakers. And High Heel Sneakers have been done by the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Janis Joplin, you name them, Stevie Wonder. And it was just recently in May inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame. So, okay, and you know, behind every artist, everybody has a role that they play. It either could be behind the scene or in front of the scene, but no artist is successful without people being behind them, and that is the truth. So I'd like to introduce my first person on here, and it's by no order, but just these great ladies up here. And the first is Sue Evans, and she was married to B.B. King and traveled for a period of time with him. So Miss Sue Evans, yes, hello. That's her right there. Okay, and then we have Miss Willie Mae Bland, the wife of Bobby Blue Bland, sitting right here next to me. And Miss Shirley Neal, the wife of Rayford Neal, and the mother of Kenny and Ray Neal and the Neal clan. There's a whole bunch of them sitting right on the end. And actually, you can read more about these ladies in your pamphlet, your book, your program. And right beside me, I have the R&B queen, Miss Dorothy Moore, y'all.
Hello, everybody.
In her own right, she recorded a #1 song and is still playing today, 1976, Misty Blue. So,
thank you.
Yeah, and she's won countless awards, and I believe she will be able to talk to you about being on the chitlin circuit, where these other ladies can talk to you about being familiar with the chitlin circuit. Then we have, last but not least, Miss Vicki Baker back over here on the end right here. Yeah, she's one of the young ones like me that's trying to keep this thing going. So let's give it up for Vicki. She's an educator, music educator. She's a band leader at St. Aloysius, and now you're at Vicksburg High School. So let's give it up for Vicki. And she's also an entertainer and a blues singer. So, all right. So I'm going to start probably down where Miss Neal is and then come down. And the questions may be different for each one of them because of their roles. But without the chitlin circuit, many artists like B.B. and Bobby and Rayford, even people that were in that era, and I'm not up to Miss Dorothy Moore yet because it wasn't that time period when the chitlin circuit was going on, but it was a chitlin circuit before 1960. But it was my question is it was during the Jim Crow era in the early 19th centuries to the 1960s, when you had actually been performing, Miss Moore, is there a specific story you can share regarding adequate accommodations and pay and all that kind of stuff when you were playing, and some of the things that you experienced in the chitlin circuit that caused you to be the strong artist that you are?
Oh, well, I don't know about strong, but anyway, I started when they had the Freedom Rider era, when you could sing in the white clubs, but I couldn't go in front and sit and have something to eat. I had to eat in my dressing room or wherever they had me waiting before I would go out. And I also sang at different colleges, I believe it was, I won't call the name, but different colleges that I couldn't attend at that time. I could sing in them, but I couldn't attend them, back in those days. But I started out as a background singer. I started singing back up for Johnny Taylor and in the studio on some of those records that you all hear. That's me backgrounding on Johnny and Milton and just a host of them. And Miss Jean Knight, you know that song, what says, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
I'm one of those singers.
All right.
One of those young background singers. Well, yeah, with Jewel Bass was on there and Jackie Dorsey. The three of us did that background. All right. And we are still getting residuals from that. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, we were in the commercial Raisin Bran. You could hear it at the very beginning when they did that little part. Then, as far as singing, recording, I got discovered by a simple knock at my door. Wow. Where I had been singing around town, doing different talent shows and like that. Right. And that's how I got my money. And when I would get in the studio, they would want one of the girls to sing a little part, maybe, yeah, baby, when someone else would lead another recording star. And it would be me. And that's when they started noticing my voice, and they said, well, Dorothy, they wanted to record me as an artist.
Well, I'm glad they did.
I am too. Thank you.
That's a great hit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blue, I'm a little ahead of my time, so I'll go ahead and if you want to, I stepped up a little too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seemed like you were doing that before you did Misty Blue, all that. But
I was doing all of that before Mr. Blue. As a matter of fact, I was singing professionally with two other girls, and we were called the Poppies. And we toured worldwide. That song was entitled Lullaby of Love. The album was, too. And the producer was Billy Sherrill, who also produced Tammy Wynette and people like that. And he produced us. And we stayed together for 2 years recording. And when that broke up or whatever, I got on my own and started recording by myself. But it took a while. Right. And so it was in 64, 65 when I first signed my professional record deal. And we stayed together for 2 years. And after that, it was November 75 when I recorded, when they released Mr. Blue. But Mr. Blue had been on the shelf for 2 years before they decided to release it.
Yeah, that was a smart move to release it. Miss Sue Evans, I know that you actually traveled with BB, and I'd like to hear maybe a couple of things about what happened during the Chitlin Circuit time that you like to share with us.
I guess it's no more than the rest of the musicians that were traveling on the circuit. It's a lot of times, with B, it was 365 days a year. So it was constant. And, sometimes we would find a place to stay, but a lot of times we'd make the schedule so that if he played, say, in Jackson, Mississippi today, we may go to Nashville, and we would go to Nashville and stay there, not stay in Jackson, and then from there to Birmingham or wherever. So it's kind of I'm trying to
Yeah,
move
pull
this
your chair
chair,
up.
but these chairs are heavy. Oh, that's
you go.
okay. I got it. So it's not that you could stay almost anywhere. We would know where we would stay because we've gone to those places before. And it's not only a matter of where you can stay, but it's a matter of where you can eat.
Right.
It's a matter of where you get gas in your car, your truck, or your bus. A lot of places in traveling and during that time, we couldn't use the restrooms. So when we started pumping gas and we couldn't use the restrooms, we just stopped pumping gas and keep on. Not having something to eat and not being able to get food. And a lot of times when your schedule's so far away, you have 500 miles or 600 miles to go from one place to the next place to play. Right. You don't have time to stop and eat. So if we stopped, we'd try to stop at a place that had food and gas so that we could buy food and buy the gas, go to the restrooms, of course, and then get back on, and it would save time that way. And if we didn't get food there, then so be it, you just have to keep going. So that's why a lot of times we would have sardines, Vienna sausage, crackers, anything in a can that you can eat, right, because you just couldn't either find the food or you didn't have time to go and get the food. Now, I don't know about some of these younger men here who were working during that time, but that's the way we did it.
Right.
And you also kept a blanket and pillows because when you couldn't get to a room, you'd sleep on the bus. I used to think I could sleep sitting up, but you learn to do that real fast.
So how long did you do that? How long did you travel with BB?
About 12 years.
Wow. That's love.
No. But, you know, it was very intriguing. It was very interesting. It was very educational. You get to meet so many wonderful people. You get to see so much of the country. It's tiring, and you miss your families because, I don't know, I was out there just about every day. I remember once I went home to see my mother, and I got there that morning, and that night B called and said he wanted me to come back the next day. So my mother got really angry. She said, well, what the hell did you come home for? I said, to see you, and I've seen you, so I got to go. Right. But it has its moments, and it is not glamorous, I can tell you that. All the musicians who worked out on the road, they give up a lot. They give up families, they give up being at graduations, they give up being at the hospital sometimes, they give up birthdays. You know, it's very difficult, it's very hard. It's a hard life. It is not glamorous. I've been on both sides. My mother, Ruby Edwards, was called Red Ruby, and she had a nightclub over in Leland. And that's when she started in the late 30s. So I was born in the club. We lived on, she couldn't, I think, Bobby Rush said, you know, waste money. Well, my mother didn't waste money. She had that club, and she says, well, we're going to live on top of this club because I'm going to have one note, and I'm not having two notes. Right. So we lived above the club, and I was born in that area. We had 2 bedrooms. My mother had 4 kids. My mother had a bedroom, and I stayed in the bedroom with my sister and my 2 brothers. She started booking different bands. local bands. She started there's a group in Vicksburg called the Red Tops. She started with Ike Turner. That was before Tina. Any of the bands that were around locally, and then she started booking some of the other ones, the more, world known.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. That's a great story. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So you had an interesting life in music. Yeah.
I was just telling
in the
Willie
chitlin
Mae.
circuit.
I was telling Willie Mae, I've been in this in my whole life, and I don't play one instrument, and I can't sing. Something's wrong with this. I was born in the club.
Right.
Well,
that brings me to Miss Willie Mae. Did you told me that you had actually toured with Bobby for a while, right? Yeah. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like being with Bobby and how it was on the road with him?
Well, it wasn't easy. It was quite hectic because you have to get used to living out of a suitcase. You have to get used to eating out of a can, sardines out of a can, or tuna with no boiled eggs and pickles to go in it.
Right, not the glamorous tuna.
So it was just busy and hectic. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody else, but he needed me, and we were friends before we were ever lovers. So I lived with his mother as a child. So
yeah, speak up close.
Oh. I met my husband when I was 12, so when I got grown and started touring with him, I was almost like an employee. I just wasn't really getting paid. I wasn't on payroll, but I had to do everything. And then when he became dependent upon medication for hypertension, diabetes and stuff, and with me being a nurse, I had to take care of all of that. And it was just busy and hectic, but it was a good experience. I got a chance to see a lot of places I probably wouldn't have never gone, and he was afraid to fly, so the only way he would take his date in Japan with B.B. King was that I go with him. He had gone to New York and was just sitting there with no birth certificate and no passport, of course. So I had to get a birth certificate from Memphis and fly into New York to get the passport, of course. And I wasn't Mrs. Bland either. I was just his friend. Wow. So it was just a busy, hectic life, and Bobby had to sing and drive sometime. Bus driver might quit in St. Louis, and he's going on someplace else. And he had to carry himself there. And I always admired him that he wasn't only a great singer, he could drive, and he knew what was wrong with the bus, even though he couldn't fix it if something happened. He just knew how to help himself. So, but of course, Internal Revenue I had to face in them. He didn't have a face in them. So I was always, in and out, taking care of his business, and then coming back home and having to follow him. And it went on for many, many years. Of course, we didn't marry till what year was it? 1983. Okay. But, I had traveled with him and been with him many years before then and worked for him, so.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Mrs. Neal, I can't even imagine you having to travel with Mr. Neal because you had 10 kids to take care of. Tell us your story.
I didn't travel, but I enjoyed being with my kids because I was raised as one in the house. But my mother had 10 kids, but she didn't raise me. So by having just me in the house, I wanted kids and Rafa wanted kids. So we had them. I had all 10 of them, and I didn't travel until they got grown. I started going, different places, overseas, different France and different stuff. But my kids, I was talking about this yesterday when we was coming. I say, my husband was a discipline because I never did. And I say I was so glad of that because with 7 boys, we didn't have to go to jailhouses and get them, And everybody, they loved it, their music. So I would give them an hour and a half. It'd be longer than that, but I tell them an hour and a half in the evenings to rehearse.
Right, because everybody was playing at one time because everybody in the house played, right?
Look, the boys had 2 bedrooms with bunk beds in them. So they'd open that door. Now they're going to bring a friend with them. So they have the drums, everything hooked up. I'm in the kitchen cooking. I got to feed all these extra children. Right. And I'm washing. So I really enjoyed it, though. I enjoyed raising my kids and all of them musicians. And I've had some tragedy in my life, but, I'm still strong enough to go with that, too. Because Jackie, I know everybody know Jackie Neal, which was my baby girl, and she got killed by her ex-boyfriend. But with Ronnie, Rafe, and Jackie, it was so close. I just lost Noel, but I'm still strong with it, and I enjoyed my kids, and I enjoyed all their friends. Their friends still come by and see me.
Yeah, we give you our deepest condolences for Noel's.
All right.
Yeah. And Miss Vicki Baker down here, I wanted to ask you a question. I know that some people are dual in everything that they do, and I was that way for many years. I worked for the federal government for like 33 years and built a music career at the same time. So I know that you are working in the schools with the band and you're also playing as an artist. How do you find time to do that and make it work on both sides? You have to shut one thing down while you do another one, or how does your mind departmentalize that?
Unfortunately, you're not really able to shut one thing down and to do another. I just call it good multitasking and knowing how to, just get stuff done. I don't know, I have this passion about music, so when I got it made up in my mind what I'm gonna do. So I just don't see too many obstacles. I mean, I've gotten off of, because I'm a high school band director, so I've gotten off of the field on Friday nights and just throw my hair together and my clothes together and then jump on the plane and Saturday morning going to a show. I used to background sing for Mr. Willie Clayton. We were on the road a lot. So I found that was good training for me as far as multitasking. Because, we always had our wigs, because you ain't have time to get your hair done and all that. So you got to get something out the box you could and put it on, and that kind of stuff. But it was good training for me when I became my own artist, of course. It was good training for me because it just taught me how to multitask and to get it done. Plus, it's good when you have support. I keep it real with my administrators and people I'm working with. I'm like, you guys know what I do, So I just changed schools. I was at a Catholic school, St. Aloysius, for 30 years. I've been a band director for 30 years. Right. And by the way, I'm a graduate of Mississippi Valley State University. Yeah. So I just changed schools, and now I'm at the Vicksburg High School, which is a public school. And when they were asking me about coming to work there, I was like, sure, but now you know what I do. I can't. One thing about music, and I just had to give my brother this speech because my brother used to play keyboard for me, but now he's an artist in his own right. And I try to tell him, you have to place people in your life that understand music and appreciate music. If you got somebody that does not understand the system, it's just not gonna work. I mean, right. So one thing about music, when you're passionate about it, you don't really have a choice of, am I gonna do it? I mean, it's like your heartbeat. You have to do it because it's what you think about before you go to bed at night. It's what you think about while you sleep. I've written so many songs in my sleep, and I just get up and, I keep something by my bed so I can jot it down, especially the older I am. You can't remember everything. Just so if a hook comes to you, you got to stop and jot it down. It's just that serious for me. I just have made in my mind that it's something I want to do, and I'm going to stick to it. Let me say something, though, about the chittlin circuit. When Dr. Sanders asked me about being on the panel, I was thinking, what am I really going to speak about? I didn't realize Teeny was going to ask me that question, but that's fine. But I wanted to talk about now chittlin circuit versus everything I've been listening to today. One of the things that really gets on my nerves with it today is track shows. Anybody know what I mean?
Yes.
Track shows?
Yes.
I mean, I have to do them, that's a survival thing y'all were talking about. You have to do them to keep your name out here and to survive, but it really irks me that a lot of people, a lot of promoters now, the first thing they want to do when they call you is they want to do a track show. Well, I have a master's degree in music, so I'm all about real horns and real this and real that. So I say something to them, but I'm knowing, if the money is funny and it's not there or whatever, I get it. I do get it, but that's just one of the things that just that's kind of like my little pet peeve thing. It just kind of drives me crazy. And the, chittlin circuit these days, all of the track shows. I'm hoping people will get back to the real music. When I teach my students, I also teach like general music classes and stuff. I try to give them the history of music and to, with kids, you have to find a way to reach them, and you can't reach all of them the same way. You have to reach them different ways, but, it all comes into play with being a teacher. But I found that what I do is I find one of the best songs that they think they love, and then I'll tell them where it really came from. So I'll let them play their little version, and then I'll play the real version. And then that's when their eyes pop open and say, okay, because I'm saying, what you guys listen to now is just kind of soup warmed over. This is a real version when such and such recorded it or whatever. So learn your history about music. Learn about these different genres. All these kids like the acid rock and the blah, 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 and all this stuff. Everything stems from the blues and the gospel and into the jazz and so forth. But like I say, you have to give, if you got a family, a big family, you have to give due to everybody. Like with my sisters and brothers, you can't mention the rest of them without mentioning me because I'm the oldest. So you got to come down for me, and then you got to work your way down. It's the same thing with music. You can't mention one thing without mentioning the where it really came from, the history of it, the backbone of it, the origin of it. So if you're going to talk about it, talk about all of it. So that's what I try to do as an educator, which I'm probably be retiring soon. It'll be great to just be on the road like you full time. That'd be great. I sing a lot. I'm gone a lot of weekends. I just make it happen. I just thank God that I have someone in my life that understands that, be glad when you see me, because I'm gone. I got to go. But I'm coming back. That's the main thing. So anyway, I want to say again, Mississippi Valley State University, Dr. Sanders, all of you guys, I look forward. You don't have to ask me to ever say a word when I come here. I just look forward to listening to everybody else and to hear all these great stories. And so I can go back and take it to my students and enlighten them. And I want to say to the ladies, all of you are gorgeous. And I'm glad to be on the panel with you, Miss Dorothy Moore. I love you. I've seen some of your stuff, too. Yes. And I'm hoping we could do something together sometime. Wouldn't that be good?
That would be good.
Yeah. Well, thank you anyway. Thank you.
Well, I know we don't have very much time left, and I was just going to ask each one of the wives up here and Dorothy Moore if she could maybe share 1, 2-sentence things about their husband that we don't know or that we should know that we never knew. Look at Miss Neal. She look like I mean, anything special, like they wore 2 left socks or, And then we'll take a couple questions from the audience.
Well, I hate to say this, but
Don't embarrass Ray now.
Ray was going over in Germany, and I always put his clothes together, tie the socks, and put them in the jacket. And so he come back home, he just be dressed, all the pictures, I'd just be so embarrassed. So this time he went to Japan to teach a harmonica class. And I did the same thing, and I fussed so much about it. He had, one of the pictures he had on, he had a purple suit, but he had the purple pants on, a green shirt, but I had to go with another pair of pants. He had on some red socks. And when I get the pictures back, I'm so embarrassed. And I said, well, Rafa, he said, look, I ain't worried about that. I said, well, you just wear what I put that for you. He said, oh, you have everything. I said, well, that's the way I want it. But he would, he'd come back with some pictures that would make you want to cry.
Well, I'm not married, but I was married for 18 years, and I have 2 children. Well, they're not young adults, a daughter and son. But I'd like to tell you something about Mr. Blue that you probably don't know. I went in the studio, and my producer called me to listen to this song to see if I like it. And it was Mr. Blue. And so I told him that I love it, you know. And so he told me to go in. He always had this rhythm section in the studio because they had very little work coming through the doors. I think, as a matter of fact, they were getting ready to go file bankruptcy or something. That's what I heard. And so he said, well, go in and get your key, Dorothy, and cut it. We'll cut it. And so I went in and got my key, and I recorded Mr. Blue in one take. Wow. What you hear now, it was one take. And when they released it 2 years later, they put it on the B-side of a 45. And I'd like to thank all the radio DJs and the radio listeners for making me who I am today, because that you all did it. Radio personality, we do need radio, and that's who made me. And I'm so happy about that. And that's what happened as far as that. When it was released, in 3 months later, it was nominated for a Grammy. Wow. And I have been nominated for 4 Grammys.
Y'all need to give it up.
Come on, say something. That's one good one now. Not too much information. Oh, no. My husband loved his mom, and I knew I had it made when he loved his mama. I knew if he was crazy about his mama, he was going to love me too, and he did.
So for all those women that thought something different, he loved him some Willa Mae, right?
He did.
Okay, I was thinking about some of the times when we were traveling. And, you know, you can't really time traffic down to the nth degree till you get there. So some days we would get into cities a little bit early, and B would love to go to the movies. So as soon as we get to a town and they had a movie, we would sneak off and hide in the movies and just look at them. He just loved movies. He didn't care if it was cartoons or Superman or whatever. He just loved going to the movies. And the other thing he loved was after, like when we go to places in the city like New York and different places, after you get off work, he's too hyped up to go to sleep. Most musicians, they got that time clock problem sometimes. And so we would go bowling. He loved bowling. And we would bowl until about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast, and go to bed. That's the musician's schedule. And the last thing I think you guys would really get a kick out of, one day we were in New Orleans and we had a little extra time off, and so he looked at me and he said, I'm going fishing. He loved to fish. He didn't care if it was deep sea fishing, fishing in a creek with a small boat, and I'm afraid of snakes, so I don't do that kind of stuff. So he says, I'm going fishing. So I said, okay. He says, see you later. And he's walking out the door. I said, see you later? You're not going to change clothes? He had on a silk suit. He says, woman? That's what he called me. He says, woman? I don't have anything else to put on. So he went fishing in a silk suit.
So, Vicki, is there something about you that we don't know?
Yes, I like to fish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a Louisiana country girl. And matter of fact, one of my new singles that's going to be on my new CD coming out is called Honey Hole. All about fishing, or not. Ain't that right, Mr. Bobby Rush? Yeah, that night fishing.
Night fishing.
Okay, we have a little bit of time to take some questions from the audience. And, okay.
At a historically black college right now, and I know back in the day, and you may have been a little too young for this, but did you utilize the Green Book?
I think I'm a little too young for that.
Dorothy Moore?
I think, not that I'm young, but yeah.
Dorothy Moore, the Green Book was put out, it's a black publication that was put out in 1937 by Victor Green, and it depicted and showed black people where to stay. You would talk about safe places and places that you could get gas and things like that, and that was a book that was put out in 1936.
Right, yeah, that's before me.
Okay.
But I will tell you this, let me say this. I told you guys I went to school here, Mississippi Valley State University, and I was thinking about it when Dorothy was talking about playing at some of the universities where she could play but she couldn't attend. And I remember when I graduated from Valley in fall of '84, I received a letter to honoring me with a full scholarship to go to Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi. And I can remember now telling my mom, rest her soul, that I didn't want to go. And I was like, I don't really want to go, but she was like, well, people have paved the way for you to be able to go where you want to go and where you were invited to go. And says, I'm inviting you to and giving you a full scholarship to go to school. You're going to have to go. You don't have a choice. It's your responsibility to go. So that's what I end up doing, going. So, that's because of people like you and people like you guys that played at some of these places and you couldn't attend, you couldn't, So thank you so much.
One other thing for Dorothy Moore, a little story. I work for the Jackson Advocate newspaper, which is the oldest black newspaper in the state. And I interviewed some musicians in Jackson one time, and they told me a story about Dorothy Moore. They said that Dorothy Moore was too young to get into the Alamo, and that she would come in there with her mother and win the talent show and have to be escorted home early because she was too young to stay late with the musicians.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, my great-grandmother was my chaperone who also raised me, and I just thank her for everything that I'm doing today. Because of her, I wouldn't be where I am today, because she would escort me down to the Alamo every Wednesday night to do that, to do the talent show. And it really was a learning experience for me. I call it my classroom for what I'm doing today. Right. That's what the Alamo were for me, to me.
Okay, we have enough time for one more question.
I know you got the right stuff, But to all the ladies on the panel, if you would, just give me one word or two, if you can, right quick, to the young women in the business today or in life in general. Give them something that they need to know from your experience.
Well, I don't know. 'Cause I see a lot of young women now get those kids, and it really goes to my heart because I take very good care of mine. And I didn't leave them for to be babysit my aunt. Nobody. I kept them myself.
Take care of your own.
And I taking care of my kids, and Rafer was a good provider. He brought it in, and I taking care of the house. Yeah, but I mean, the young women now, because I got one of my little great-granddaughters that her mama got 3 from one of Jackie's sons, and she don't have any of them.
Wow.
I got one.
That's an epidemic.
You know, that's the way they're doing now.
Epidemic.
But I mean, when you get those kids, you got to put them first.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Yeah.
Well, my advice to the young people is to get an attorney. When you get those contracts, that there is, here is, and B party, A party, get an attorney.
Mine is stay true to yourself. Wait, as soon as everybody answers her question, then I'll let you do it and then we're done. Okay, that's cool. That's valid. Okay.
My advice would be that they would have to be dedicated and have an awful lot of patience.
It's not to let anybody define you.
That's right.
Failure is not an option. And whatever you're experiencing that's getting you down, it's only temporary. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
You can always continue and
Bounce
get up.
back,
Don't
yeah.
give up.
Like that. Ricky?
I say be passionate about what you do. If you can't get it the right way, just wait so you can get it. Get it your way.
Okay, our one more question, and then we're done.
I was a little girl when I used to listen to my mother and my father. They would play the blues growing up as a child. And I remember when they would have like the quartet groups and they would be singing. And so people would travel from all over to go and listen to the quartet singers. So my question is, and it could relate to Mr. Bobby Rush or to the mothers and the wives up on the panel, or if anyone could just answer my question. So still as a child, my mother let me and my sister travel at a very young age, and we sang with Reverend James Cleveland. So we heard blues in all aspects. So did blues really migrate from the fields, you know, when everybody was picking cotton back in those days, you know, starting from then and then coming on up because of what they were feeling. And then they brought it on up into this era because in the 90s, that's when I started traveling and I started working with Al Heyman. So I traveled in the 90s on the concert tours. So my question is, blues and R&B, gospel, it's an all blend, but do you think that we can all like come together and do like a one big giant convention panel with all aspects of the music and bring everybody together? Or do you consider that the same, like quartet singing, blues singing, is that kind of like all the same?
That's a pretty loaded question.
It is loaded. I was trying.
Blues gave birth to all music, so there you go.
And for us, the quartet singing, gospel-wise, right. I grew up on that. My dad was a quartet gospel singer. And a lot of the same things that happen on the chittlin circuit, like we were talking about, is how happened in the church.
Right.
And with the quartet singers, just the same.
Exactly.
And sometimes worse. So it is, to me, it's all, I don't know, music is a universal language. And I think it all intertwines. I think it's all together. You put it together how you want. Like they were talking about Ray Charles and infusing the gospel sounds of a lot of chord changes are the same, music is the same. I mean, it just sometimes, even now with the new people, it depends on the lyric. You have to really listen to the lyrics, and you got to listen hard to figure out if is this gospel, is whatever it is. So to me, it's all the same. I don't know. That's what I would say.
I hope that answered her question, but I want to thank everybody on this panel. Y'all, let's give it up for them. We got a lot of good information. I mean, I could have went into some music history, but that's not my job today. My job is for these ladies to speak and reveal some things to us that we didn't know. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. And you can take your name in your award.
This is wonderful for me, and I know we've got a lot going on, and I already know time will tell its own story. We got a wonderful evening planned at Club Ebony. I've got 2 more panels that we're supposed to do, but this is what I'm making a decision to do. We have a ride that we took Willie Henderson out of Chicago. Michael Frank came down through Memphis. We had a wonderful filming throughout the Gibson Guitar Company. We've got, I've got King Edward. I've got Jimmy Mays in from Jackson. Also, I guess on the trip was my dear friend, one of my mentors I adopted was Walter Riley King. And Walter and I, go way back. But this is what I thought about doing since most of the participations are here, and we have to have the documentation from people. I want to do the same thing we did on the bus ride if we can get the interviews. And I know everybody else will be taking it. So I have several interviews that we have to do of people. Jimmy Mays is one. King Edward is the other one. And who else is? Oh yes, Cash McCall. Cash, I want you to do something special for me. I want you, if you can you come up this way? We got 2 people in here, and I've learned to respect on a whole nother level. And that's Eddie Clearwater, who I didn't know much about until we started talking on the phone. And this is Cash McCall, who I was introduced to through Mark here from Memphis. But I want you to do one thing. I just want you to address the audience and let them know exactly what's going on in your life today.
Well, I was quite surprised to see my old friend from Chicago, Willie Henderson. We were both awfully young back then, man. But it was a lot of fun. And hey, I've been listening to a lot of people talk up here, and I got to tell you something. Music in Chicago was hard because you had people like Wolf, who I recorded with, Muddy, I recorded with, and wrote songs for these people. And to find out that all the money that their records were making, they were not getting it. Willie Dixon, who I played a long time for and who taught me a lot, records were making money all over the paper. His songs were making money. All of that was being stolen from him. Muddy Waters, the same thing. And I was right there looking at this go on. I got to tell you something. It hasn't changed. It's getting worse now. But you know what? You protect yourself. They got ways. They got, you write a song, register the letter and mail it to yourself and don't bother it no more because it will stand up in court very well. And instead of being a crybaby, take care of business. I've got to go to court. I found some lawyers who are in Nashville from Music Loves. They're going to take care of business. These people have been stealing from me since 1976. But now I have a chance to get that money, and I know very well how to protect myself now. So all of you, register your material. And Willie, it's good to see you. And some neighbor friends of mine up there, darling, how you doing? And tell Chelsea I said hi. Bless your heart.
All right, we got Cash. We're gonna do the interviews. We're gonna get that set up, so y'all be patient with us on that. But we got one last surprise, and I can't do without. I gotta hear Dorothy Moore sing. Dorothy, are you gonna do that for us, baby? She's gonna come to the stage. Every Every time I hear Dorothy sing them, I'm almost in tears, Bobby. You know, yeah, you come on, come on up. You want this one?
Okay.
I'm getting you a microphone. You'll put it right here.
My brother, Melvin Hendricks. Yeah, better known as House Cat, will be playing on keyboard. And Cheryl Holly on sax. And I'm going to sing that song that made it happen for me, simply entitled Misty Blue. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's been such a long, long time. Look like I'd get you off of my mind, but I can't. Just the thought of you turns my whole world misty blue. Oh, honey, just the mention of your name turns a flicker to a flame. Listen to me, good baby. I think of the things we used to do. Turns my whole world misty blue. I should forget you. Heaven knows I've tried. And baby, when I say that I'm glad we're through, deep in my heart I know I've lied, I've lied, I've lied. Heaven knows I've lied. Oh, honey, it's been such a long, long time. Looks like I'd get you off of my mind, but I can't. Just the thought of you turns my whole world misty blue. Break it down for me. I want to call the one I love. Can I do that, y'all? I said I want to call the one I love. Can I do that? Heaven knows. I said, baby, baby, oh, I can't forget you. Turns my whole world. Can we do that again? I said, baby, 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 baby. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Like I said, I couldn't have paid anybody what they're worth to do this. So this is like me calling aces and friends and say, y'all come and let's celebrate the legacy of the blues through B.B. King. I met a beautiful brother here, and I forgot your name. Butch. Yeah, Butch talked to me about something very serious and something I've been thinking about for years, and I know we got a strong connection. I really want to follow up on it, but there's a lot of information that we need to think through when we start talking about the next symposium. I'm open, guys. We got contacts. Please try to keep in touch with each other and try to keep in touch with me. Talk to me about what you really feel, what you think something like this could be at a historically black college and what it means to continue to tell the story and get it documented properly. So I'm open, and I want to make sure that part is heartfelt because it's coming from me. Yes, Deacon Blues.
I just want to commend you, Alfonso Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm hoping with my newfound friends. Yes, sir.
Can I just say this too? You know, we come and we all have a great time. And it's great. It's a good word. But Alfonso needs help. He needs help. Okay? He needs help to make it ensure that this continues. So any sources of funding that you have, directly toward our Father. So please do that. People that you know or your own money, whatever.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. But we're trying to make it count. And we're right here at Mississippi Valley State University. It's a good a place as any to do what we're doing, and I'm committed to it. Tonight is going to be very special, so don't miss what we're about to do at Club Ebony, because it's going to be something you've never seen. We're going to be dangerous tonight. So make sure you come out, be able to get you a spot. And it's open to the public, so that's been advertised, and hope to see you soon. We have a few interviews that we'll be doing while everybody else is clearing out. Tomorrow we have a very special event that was told by Senator Jordan. They will be naming the highway to B.B. King Highway. This will be Highway 82 West. And it'll be done in this very auditorium tomorrow, and there's some film footage that they're going to show from the museum and so forth, and some speakers from the state will be doing that, and they'll unfold the actual sign tomorrow that's out on 82. So my hat's off to you, and thank you so much once again for helping me to do this. All right, we're out. Thank you.